In this class at Paul Mitchell, I go through social media and I also go through haircutting. The first half is going to be about social media and growing. The second half is actually going to be the haircut. So if you're here to watch haircuts, make sure you skip to the second half of the video. If not, I'm happy you guys are here. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this channel to people who you think it'll help. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Let's tune in. I'm going to focus on the shear work on this haircut and the fade, right? And really hyper-focusing on setting guides to make your life easier, not harder, and pulling sections. Now, how many of us use social media? Okay, I'm a big believer of if you want to be successful in this industry, you have to utilize social media. So if you guys could all pull your phones out for me for a second and go follow Life of Savant. I have a broadcast channel or a channel on Instagram that'll allow you guys to kind of watch YouTube videos that will teach you little tricks that a lot of people don't know on Instagram to help you get clients. It's growing every day. Right now in that broadcast channel, there's like 3 or 4 videos, right? But those videos and the tips in those videos helped me make $1 million last year. So I would just suggest giving that a follow. And then if you want to follow our barbershop, it's Savant Barbershops, and our product line is Savant Grooming, okay? But I really need you guys to get into that channel. That way we can start diving in on some of that today. With social media, how many of you are trying to drag clients in the door at school? Me? Right? So while you're at school and you're trying to drag clients in the door, a lot of people think they're going to make a viral video and just become like booked. That's not how it works. So it's called client acquisition, right? So you're trying to generate clients based off of your whole work, not off of one post. So understanding that your page is like become a Netflix TV show. You know when you're on Netflix and you go to the TV shows and you kind of like go through and you pick one and then you pull it up and it all looks organized, clean, and you're like, oh, there's a description of the TV show. I'm going to watch this, right? Like, that's what social media is becoming, is it's a little mini TV series. And a lot of people don't look at it that way. And the reason a lot of people take 5 years to get good at social media is because once you've been posting for 5 years, you have enough posts to go back and reutilize all that content. So like, understanding that right now it's going to feel like nothing's hitting. And everything you post, you might get 300 likes on one post and 10 likes on another. And you're like, wait, why is that so different? But it's because you're building a following of people that like your stuff, right? It's the same thing as booking out yourself in your clientele. It takes time and like effort, and you're going to do someone's hair and they're going to not like it. And it's not because you did bad. It's because they're just not going to like you, right? It's not even like you walk down the street and there's a dude that annoys you or a girl that annoys you or someone that annoys you, right? Without you even knowing them. It happens to all of us. But that happens in your chair too. So like, you got to realize the more faces you can get to see that you do what you do, the better. So like, people just know I own barbershops and I cut hair when I walk around, right? No one in here did probably, right? I'm not saying I'm Kim Kardashian. Time out, right? Hold up. I wish I was Kim Kardashian. I would launch a product and it'd just go to the moon, right? But the reality is like, the more people that know that you do what you do, instead of you being like, I do hair. No one even knows your face though, right? Like, you have to realize if you're only posting pictures of your haircuts and you're never showing who you are and like your interests, you're not going to attract people that are having the similar interests as you, right? So like, maybe making a list of the 10 things that interest you that are outside of hair, and then making a list of the 10 things you want to do inside the beauty industry to give yourself perspective of your brand is a good idea, because all of you are your own brand, right? So it's like, if you like punk rock and you want to do mullets, you have a starting place, right? If you like blowouts and balayages, and you like, what's something that goes with that? Somebody say it. Huh? And you like Taylor Swift, then maybe you need to post Taylor Swift songs to your blowouts. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's one of the things where utilizing social media to build your influence in your local community matters. One of those two first in that broadcast channel, the Savant free area is what it's called. Those two first videos explain how to literally grab a client within Utah off of Instagram, like without having to have them find you. It allows you to find the people around here. Like, I would be all over that taco, what is that? The taco spot right here that's red? It's popping, right? How many of you are tagging there? And like going in, like, you know how Snapchat maps work? Where there's hotspots? Instagram has that too. So everybody pull out your phones and go to your explore page on Instagram. And then once everybody's there, I'll explain it. Right? Okay, in your explore tab, type in holiday and then hit done. Don't tap on anything. And then hit places. Let me know when you guys get there. Now, when you click on holiday in places, do you see the little map that pulls up on the top half of the screen? Now swipe down on those recent posts, swipe down and the whole map will open up. And then just zoom out a little bit. And then at the top, it's gonna say, search this area. Do you see all the bubbles of people's posts that they've tagged those places and stories? That means that people frequent those areas and use Instagram in those areas, right? So if I were in the beauty industry, or I were in a salon, or I were in a barbershop and I wanted to cut hair in an area, I would go in there every day and I would comment on every post and I would DM people, hey, I'm a student at Paul Mitchell and they've actually given me a coupon to allow you to get a discount on your haircut. Please message me back if you are interested. If they message you back and you don't have a discount code, go talk to Brad and be like, Ethan said we should get a discount code to bring clients in here. Because like I do this with my barbers. Marissa's the manager of our Mill Creek location, right? I'm right now for this year making promo codes with every barber's name. That way they can go and reach out to people and drag clients in with a discount. And a lot of us just are scared to like be like outspoken, right? It's weird to message a random person on the internet and be like, hey, how you doing? But like, you're choosing a life by choosing this profession that it's not a choice anymore, right? If you actually want to do this, you better just learn to talk to people, right? I walked into a room today full of 50 people and I'm just talking out loud and I don't really know anybody, but I don't care, right? I'm still comfortable with you all, right? What I'm doing right now is I'm taking a section on the parietal ridge and I'm trying to preserve most of the length on the top of his hair. We did a trim like 3 or 4 haircuts ago that was just too short. We both knew it. It's kind of like when you're doing a lineup and you look into their eyes on accident and you're like, oh, may have gone a little too short here. But doing this section allows you to kind of preserve that length. We'll work on that later, right? We're gonna focus on the fade right now. The first thing I wanna do is I wanna remove weight on the hair. So removing weight and setting up your fade is gonna make it so your fades don't come out crooked. You ever looked at a fade? It's like this. So you kind of start looking at them like this and you're like, it's straight. It's like, oh, it's not straight, right? So the whole purpose of this is to remove that weight to give yourself a good structure of what you're doing. I use detachables a lot, so bear with me. I'll kind of explain my steps in like plastic clips if you don't have detachables. I'm going to be taking a 2-guard and I'm going straight in. At the back of the head is where I always start. The reason I start at the back of the head is that way if their hair is really light, you can taper this out. If you go in on the side or up here and you picked a guard that's too light, it's a wrap, right? Now they look bald. And you're like, oh no. So start on the nape and then work your way up. Once you know it's the length you want, we're going in and we're removing the weight. So what I like to explain to people is the 2 is like your number 2 pencil, right? So when you're drawing, you got a number 1 and number 2. You know how there's different shades of pencils? 2 is your base darkness. That's where it should go from fading to blending. So wherever you put your 2 will be the end of the lightness in your fade, or the end from where you're fading from light to dark. It's the darkest spot in the gradients, right? But that doesn't mean it's always going to be dark, right? Sometimes a 1 looks like a 2, but most of the time, your 2 is where you want the top of your fade to stop, and you're blending with shear over comb or clipper over comb to begin. What's the hardest part of using clippers for anybody in here? Okay, doing it with your shears, clipper over comb. What color is the comb you're using for clipper over comb? That'll help you see. Just a warning for everybody that I handed these combs today. They're really, yeah, okay? But so, come up here real quick. Yeah? Okay, so when you're doing clipper over comb, this is a 2, right?
This is a 2?
Yeah, and this comb is a 1.
Okay.
And understanding that what your comb is compared to your guards will help you not leave lines. And then when you're going in, see how you want the 2 down here to fall out of right here. And then you have it.
And keep the comb straight, never like bend it or anything?
Not until you get it blended, and then you can.
Okay.
But you want to get the weight line out of the way first.
Oh, and I think the last time I did a fade, I reversed it.
Yeah?
So I started, how did we even start with it? We messed up a fade.
Yeah,
so
it happens.
It's interesting looking at this and but thank you for showing me.
Yeah, it's literally right here.
Yeah.
See these hairs? See how they're poking through? Then they start falling out. That's what you cut.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
And then you use your middle finger to like anchor against the head so you don't push in.
Okay.
And then always swipe on the spine of the comb. So like on the spine.
I went under.
Yeah, so like
That's why I made it.
you're gonna use this. Where's the camera? You're gonna use this and you're gonna swipe along that. A lot of people wanna go in here. See what that does to the comb? But if you're swiping on the spine, it just glides. So that helps. Thank you, that was a good question. So with clipper over comb, I've gone for my 2. I'm gonna remove the weight on the top of the head. And when you're doing clipper over comb, the way I was taught is to do it 3 times. So if you're going in and you're doing your clipper over comb, you're gonna go in once, swipe, in twice, swipe, in 3 times, swipe. And then that should make it so you don't get any uneven hairs in your clipper over comb, because not having a back is weird. And then same thing on the back. Notice how we've preserved length and dropped it in the back to avoid on the calic. Because for a whole year when I was an apprentice, I messed up calics. Yes, all the way closed. Anytime you're doing something to set a guide, do it closed. Because when you start open, especially with plastic guards, it doesn't cut it even. If you cut it with 2 guards closed or with a plastic guard closed, it actually cuts the hair evenly. You got to think of it as like with your clipper open, it's cutting at a longer length, but it's almost thinning it at the same. It's like a thinning shear because there's gaps, right? I would, instead of doing like a 3 open, I would just grab a 4 closed, and then in between that, I would do open to get a line out. But if you're trying to set guides, like people walk into the barbershop all the time and they're like, can I get a 1 or a 2 on the sides? Never do that open, always do it closed, right? And it creates a better consistency. Yeah, yeah.
Like starting with a lower guard and then going up to a higher guard?
I think it depends on the way your brain works. So some people are way better at up fading and some people are way better at down fading. With down fading, you have more control of the darkness in your fade, but you also have to be more controlled with your guides when you're fading down, because I'll show you I do both when I'm cutting. So I'm down fading, but I'm gonna start by setting a guide. if that makes sense. I'm literally just prepping this whole haircut so when I do my fade, I'm done. Your hair grew fast. I know. Because this is basically all prep work, right? And for a long time, it would take me forever to cut hair because I didn't understand how to properly do the prep work. So with your question of down fading, I always put a bald guideline in before I start anything on a fade. I don't tap my bald guideline in, but if that's what helps you get these front spots even, do it, right? So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna take my trimmer and I'm literally just gonna bald it out. And then in the back of the head, you're always gonna wanna drop it at least 1 finger length, maybe 2, if you're trying to make it look straight. Because the density of the back of the head is always double the sides, unless something's wrong with the person. And that's okay, they just might be unhealthy or they might have a health problem, but like, it's always denser in the back than it is on the sides. I didn't zero gap these ones because I bought a different blade and just put it on it. But I would suggest zero gapping your trimmers, but you have to, I'd ask Chris Moore to help you. Chris Moore can zero gap trimmers really well. And if there's another instructor in here, is there another instructor in here? Make Chris do it. Chris Moore actually apprenticed me. That's who my instructor was. So he's the one that taught me how to zero gap trimmers. It's kind of funny. Okay, so I've gone in with my trimmers, right? Then I'm gonna do my bald, like bald, 00, 5-star shaver, right? This is where everybody from school gets scared, right? Just scared. We just don't want to do it because if we put the line in, we don't know how to get it out, right? I used to not be able to get it out. So what I'm going to tell you is, don't go up to the line. Just go and then be light, right? So be light and don't go up to the line and flick out. So as I'm getting to this line, I'm flicking out. So I'm not making a hard line. It's the same thing as your trimmers. And then if you do make a hard line, tap down and it'll cut the line off, because all the line is in hair, in the most simple terms, is a triangle. So if you have a line in your haircut, there's a triangle there and you just need to chop the edge of the triangle off. That's the simplest way to think of it. Whether it's in a fade, if it's in a graduation, all the way through layering, if there's a line in a haircut, there is a triangle in that hair. And you just need to cut the triangle off and it'll sit well, right? Now, on a graduation or like a bob, like an A-frame, if you cut that triangle off, it'll look layered at the bottom. So that's the one exception. And a lot of it is getting used to moving fast, right? Because while I'm teaching a class, we've already been in this for 30 minutes. It's right? So you got to be paying attention to your time, because I haven't really been cutting the whole time, right? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clipper open, because the thing I've noticed is the bottom of the fade is what makes the fade. If there's a line in it, he's going to notice, right? So I'm going to go clipper open, and I'm going to make my guideline.
What number is that, you said?
No guard, all the way open. Clipper lever all the way. And then we're doing like a drop fade. So the 3 different types of fades are a high fade, medium fade, low fade. There's drop, there's a burst fade, there's a taper, but like in reality, high, medium, low is based off the occipital bone. If it's below the occipital bone, it's a low fade. If it's on the occipital bone, it's a medium fade. If it's above the occipital bone, it's a high fade. That's how you determine what a fade is. And then, so I'm dropping it below the occipital bone, but it's really gonna sit on it. It'll be like a medium drop fade. That way it doesn't look too low and his haircut actually lasts, but it also, he doesn't want to look like Major Payne. Dude, I love that movie. Who's seen Major Payne? What? There's that small of amount of people that have seen Major Payne in here. Watch that movie tonight. I swear. I also noticed, like, when I was first doing this, it's really hard to get this flick down because you're gonna mess up. Everybody tries to like move slowly to not mess up. You're gonna mess it up. No matter how fast you move or anything. So just try and get the motion down, right? That way you can get this bottom line out And then once I get this bottom line out is when I'll start fading down. I kind of delete that. Yeah. All the way closed, flick at the bottom line. And I'm going in the middle of where I set the guide, right? Now, you put it in a 2. You're going to grab a 1.5, right? You're going to go over with the 1.5. I'm going to step back with you guys. That way I can explain it from your guys' point of view, right? So, do you guys see the weight that's right here, right? So if you hit this with a 2 and you want to keep this weight, you're going to go with your 1.5 below it. If you're trying to get rid of this weight, you're either going to have to use a 2 or clipper over comb, right? Right now, I'm going to focus on the weight below it. You guys see this darkness? So I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to use my 1.5, my 1. I'm going to go all the way down. Because remember how I said that the side of the head is always lighter than the back? Can you see it now? No matter what you do, right? So creating a consistent fade is tricking the people's eyes to thinking that those have the same hair density. Has nothing to, some people have perfect hair. They live, right? They're there. But like 99 out of 100 people do not have perfect hair. So with your 1.5, you're going to go in and you're going to flick at that weight. And make sure you're making an even motion and you're coming out, right? Coming out and towards the ceiling. Because you don't want to make another line and push it up. Now you're going to grab your 1 and you're going to start open, right? I'm using metal guards, so there's no opening anything. It's all flick, but you're going to start open. Then you're going to flick at this. You're not going to go up into the 1.5 you just did. You're flicking out, right? So you're going in and you're flicking out. Okay. Then you're going to drop down to your half guard, right? What clippers do you guys get in your kit? The gray guard, right? The gray guard is what you're going to put on now. And we call the gray guard the Photoshop tool. So the gray guard is like a cheat code because with it open and if you use your clipper right, you can go all the way up to a 2. A lot of people don't know how to do it, but most people can, right? So like when you're using your clipper open and you move it this way up and the clipper's open, it can go all the way to a 1.5. As you go down, it goes back down to that clipper open. And then as you close the lever, it's all the way closed. If that was confusing, I'm sorry, but that's the only way I know how to describe that, right? So this equals a 1.5 with your clipper open. This equals a 1/2. And then if you close the lever, that's all the way short, buzzed, right? So if you start noticing how I cut hair, my clippers usually like this, not like this, because I'm leaving room to flick out the line. Who's been taking pictures of every haircut they do? I'm going to tell you, if you don't, you're going to regret it later. Start taking, even if it's not the best, start taking pictures of what you do, because it matters. You're going to look back in 5 years and be like, I wish I had that picture. I remember doing da-da-da-da-da, right? Like, I remember the first design I messed up, right? I wish I had a picture of it, because then I could post it next to a design I did recently and be like, that's what I thought, right? Before and after. This is what 8 years of cutting hair can do. So make sure you're documenting your journey, because we're getting to a place in time where we have to document our journey and market ourselves, especially, and there's nothing wrong with working at a salon or a barbershop that pays hourly, but if that's not your goal and you got into this to kind of make your own life, then definitely document what you're doing. Because you can go work at an hourly place, but I'm pretty sure we didn't come to school and spend $20,000 to make hourly.
So, honestly, I forgot what to say. Never mind.
Okay. And that's not a, oh, yep, go. Go.
Whenever you're like collaborating,
Mm-hmm.
appropriate to take a picture or like post it or
Absolutely, but it's up to the client. As long as the client's okay with it, it doesn't, and like the person you're collaborating with should be okay with that. And you just give them credit, right?
I don't want to like, I don't know like what kind of line there is with like posting it and being like proud of the part you did or stealing someone's work, because I don't want to steal someone's work, but you know, like it's like cool to take pictures.
I would post what you're proud of. And I would just make sure in the caption you describe what you did and what they did. Because It's not like, unless the person you're collaborating with is insecure, which then you shouldn't be collaborating with them, it should be okay. No, you're fine. The whole point is to ask questions. Next, we're getting the hair wet, and we're gonna add a little bit of texture. We're not trimming the front too much. Light trim, or is it good?
Yeah, we kind of thin it out a little bit.
Yeah. We're gonna add texture, and we're gonna contain it to the top of the head. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this section, and I'm gonna protect the fringe, right? Then I'm gonna pull a section off the fringe and do the same thing on the other side. Because my whole goal is to protect this fringe. I'm gonna thin it out, but I don't want it to cause me problems later because I cut something I shouldn't, right? So we pin that. Now, this is pinned. See the section? See if I can put it in. Where are we at? Over here? So the section goes right here and protects this fringe area, right? Next, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take these hairs and I'm gonna pull them diagonally down and forward because that's where I want them to lay. Then I'm gonna pull them and I'm gonna cut the excess. See if I can show it in the camera. See the excess in the camera right here? Okay. You're gonna work this all the way around the head just to make sure that everything sits contained in the top of the head. That way, after you style it, it works good. And then pay attention to the way the calic is moving. See it? So now we've contained the hair to the top of the head. We're gonna undo this clip and we're gonna move all of our sections. I'm just making you miss all these calls. We're gonna move all of our sections, look down for me, forward like this, right? So if you're looking at it this way, horizontally, right? And you're gonna pull all your sections the way the hair is gonna move, because when you pull a section and cut it, it lays that way. So boom, pick it up. And then I'm point cutting so it's softer and so I can add texture. Pick up the next portion of the section. And I'm creating a square shape. That was like 2 or 3 haircuts ago. It was the front in the fringe because it was like, we trimmed it and it was like, we trimmed it to here and his calic just did not like it at all. That's why I said it was that awkward moment when you look each other in the eyes and you're like, oh, shit, my bad. And see, I've been cutting hair for a long time and it still happens to me. That's why I'm trying to tell you guys, like, some people just aren't gonna like you. They're gonna be like, yeah, I didn't really like that guy. And you're gonna be, or a girl, or whatever, right? I didn't like that person. And then you're gonna be like, why didn't they come back? But in reality, it's like, you don't hang out with everybody you meet at the coffee shop either. You know? Like, some people just want a haircut. They don't want to be your friend. Some people want to be your friend. Alex is my friend, or he wouldn't have gotten another haircut. See? Sure. People have options. Someone who can do it just as good for cheaper usually, and that's okay.
Is there a reason you're using that method for like cutting it?
On the top, like point cutting?
Is it like just to add texture?
Yeah, so when you cut straight, it creates a blunt line. Because of the way that the hair gets cut by the shear, it burns the hair in a straight line. When you point cut, it creates a softer look. So on textured fringe haircuts, you're typically not gonna go and pick a section up and cut it.
Do that for a lot of like men's haircuts specifically, or shorter men's haircuts? Like, it's a lot of point cutting.
Yeah, with the trends that are going on right now. Just because a lot of the trends right now, you've got the Edgar haircut with the taper, you've got the like crop fringe haircut, you've got like a burst fade, you've kind of got like that curl. There's a lot of textures that are in right now. It's kind of like the wolf cuts in right now. Perms are in right now. So for the next 2 to 5 years, texture's in. Then it's probably gonna go back to super clean. But right now, that's not it. Perfect. Let's grab one of these. So what I'm gonna put in his hair is some sea salt spray. This is our sea salt spray from Savant. I like it, it's made here, but all I'm trying to do is like prep the hair for blow dry. And then if there's anything left I gotta touch, I will. Sea salt spray. So it's a texturizing spray. Then I'm gonna use, yes, and then I'm gonna trim it dry. Because if I don't do it dry, we end up too short, and then we get that weird moment where we're like, uh-oh. Exactly, and then he's bummed. Whew.
What size are your
Those are 4.5s. They're small. Because I don't need a shear for doing clipper over comb. So a lot of people are buying 6-inch shears so they can do shear over comb, but I do clipper over comb. When I pick up my shears, I'm cutting with a purpose. And that purpose is to cut hair with my shears so I can be more controlled with those 4.5s. It's harder to do, right? It's harder to cut with a shear that small, but I like it. Because it makes me pay attention to what I'm doing instead of overcut.
Quick question, when you're doing like texture kind of deal and with like point cutting.
A feather razor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a preference thing, but I also think that a feather razor is for length that's longer. So like if it's a mid-length haircut on like a masculine haircut, then I would use a feather razor. But like when everything's this tight,
Well, yeah, no, definitely not on like his
yeah.
hair, but I'm saying like
In general, I would use it on like
just like
mid-length hair, yeah.
My old barber used to use one of those razors.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just got tired of hair slivers. So when you're using clippers a lot, people's hair embeds itself into your hands. And then you gotta either cut it out or like, so you're going hot, high pressure, right? All the way till it's dry. This is the like most awkward part of the whole service because there's no point in talking to your client and there's no point in talking to you guys because you can barely hear me over the blow dryer. And this is a thing that I've noticed everybody out of school doesn't do. They don't blow dry the hair all the way. But we want to charge $35 for a haircut, right? Use your blow dryer. All the way, style hair. Don't be lazy. And I get it, a lot of the time it's because we don't know how to do it. But that's exactly why if you want to charge $35 for a haircut, you should probably be learning how to use your blow dryer. What setting? All the way high. Oh, JRL. It's a JRL blow dryer. Now, he asked me to thin the front a little bit, right? So, remember how I told you that if there's weight, there's always a triangle? This is the perfect moment to explain that to you guys. So in the front, he wants it to be thinned out, not weight taken out, like not length taken off, right? So if I pick this straight up, where's this camera? Over here? Okay, see the triangle? So here's the actual length, and here's the triangle that makes it heavy. And then you cut it. Here's the length, here's the triangle that makes it heavy, then you cut it. Length, triangle that makes it heavy, cut it. Length, triangle that makes it heavy, cut it. All the way through.
You're not doing a point cut on this?
Oh, not really, because I just am trying to get that off, and the way my fingers are at, it's just creating its own layer. But now, I got rid of that whole weight line in the front, so his fringe can sit lighter and like how he actually wears it, right? Perfect. Last little touches. Making sure we get all the hairs behind the ears, doing the lineup. We're not gonna line up the forehead on this haircut, but we are lining up the hook.
You really emphasize making hair grows.
Yeah, right here. So a lot of it is when I blow dried it, I did that to make sure the shape is right. But if you want it to sit, you just, and you brush with the calyx. So you would take your brush, right? And then you would just take your pomade and do a teeny amount. Because of how I blow dried it, it's gonna be up, right? But it's because his hair has that volume and that texture that you wanna make sure the shape is right. That's kind of why. Oh, it's a great question. But yeah, you would blow dry it down. Yeah, well, and then your hair usually doesn't have it. Perfect. And then everybody give Alex a round of applause for me. Hey, man. Good to go. Appreciate you. But yeah, cutting hair is about your strategy to it. Fading is usually always the same. It's just the difference of the height of where you put it. And then shear theory, right? So understanding the shapes. Alex, he wants to see it real quick. So understanding shear theory is what allows you to do what the person asks. The other thing is I really want to emphasize everybody working on social media, right? Use your social medias to benefit you in the future. If you guys have any questions from the class, I would love to hear it. just send me a DM. We're always here to help you guys. You can come shadow. And I have 2 questions, okay? Okay, 2 answers, right? So, what is the most important thing when you're cutting hair and you're starting a fade?
Using your number 2 pencil.
Guideline. Okay, come grab the bag. Thank you. That's got all the products in it. And then, okay. Marissa, what's another question we should ask? Something to do with, what does point cutting do that's different than cutting straight? Your hand was up first. Thank you. And then, so my goal over the next few years is to create a community of people on social media that are trying to actually elevate not only hair, but the way they live life. So I would love for you guys to be a part of it. If anybody's interested, please make sure you follow Life of Savant and Savant Grooming. We're doing a lot of cool stuff this year. We're focusing on like going to sports events and trying to like teach people that there's more to life than just work. So if I can teach you guys how to make a lot of money so you have more time to spend with your families, that's dope. And that's kind of my goal in life. And I appreciate all you guys listening to me today. Thanks, guys.